mastering. She's driving for the line, and she's done it! 47.80.
Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone had just done something no woman had done in 40 years, run faster than 48 seconds in the 400 meters. But as she walked onto the wet track in Tokyo, everyone wondered, could she do something even more amazing? She was about to run in the women's 4x400 meter relay final on the last day of the World Championships. What happened next made every other runner wonder if they were even in the same race. McLaughlin-Levrone had already made headlines earlier that week by running 47.78 seconds in the individual 400 meters. That's the second fastest time in history, behind only a 40-year-old record from East Germany that many people question. She had switched from her usual 400-meter hurdles event, where she already owned 6 of the 10 fastest times ever recorded, to try something new. Many people doubted this decision. She proved them all wrong in spectacular fashion. But the relay was supposed to be different. This was a team event where individual brilliance had to blend with perfect teamwork. Other countries had strong teams too. Jamaica had speed. The Netherlands had Femke Bol, the 400-meter hurdles world champion known for her lightning-fast finishing kicks. This wasn't going to be a one-woman show, or so everyone thought. Team USA made a bold choice for the final. They completely changed their lineup from the qualifying rounds. None of the 4 women who would run in the final had even competed in the earlier heats. Isabella Whitaker would start things off. Lynna Irby-Jackson would take the second leg. Aaliyah Butler would handle the third. And McLaughlin-Levrone would bring it home on the anchor leg. This fresh leg strategy was risky. Relay teams usually stick with runners who have already proven they can handle the pressure and execute clean handoffs under championship conditions. But USA's coaches had a different plan in mind. From the very first step, it was clear this wasn't going to be a normal race. Whitaker burst out of the blocks and immediately took control of the first 400 meters. Her split time of 50.12 seconds put USA ahead right from the start. She handed the baton to Irby-Jackson in first place. But what happened next was where things got really interesting. Irby-Jackson took that baton and absolutely destroyed the field on the second leg. She ran 48.71 seconds, which was faster than what most individual 400-meter runners can manage in a standalone race. By the time she reached the halfway point of the relay, she had opened up a lead of more than 10 meters over everyone else. Think about that for a moment. In a relay where the best teams in the world are separated by fractions of seconds, USA had built a 10-meter gap by halfway through the race. That's not just winning, that's complete domination. Butler took the baton for the third leg and kept the pressure on. Her 49.96 split wasn't just solid, it was exactly what the team needed to maintain their massive advantage. By the time she reached McLaughlin-Levrone for the final handoff, USA was ahead by nearly 2 full seconds. 2 seconds might not sound like much, but in elite sprinting, that's an eternity. Most 4x400 relay races are decided by hundredths of a second. Having a 2-second lead going into the final leg meant the race was basically over before McLaughlin-Levrone even touched the baton. But here's where things got really wild. McLaughlin-Levrone could have jogged that final 400 meters and still won gold. She had such a huge lead that she could have waved to the crowd, taken selfies, and probably still finished first. Instead, she ran like her life depended on it. Her anchor leg time was 47.82 seconds. To put that in perspective, that's faster than what most Olympic champions run in the individual 400 meters. She was running in a relay, having received the baton from a teammate, dealing with rain-soaked conditions, and she still managed to run one of the fastest 400-meter splits in history. As McLaughlin-Levrone crossed the finish line, she later said the experience felt like a victory lap for us. I just wanted to finish strong because you never know who is behind, chasing you. It was just an incredible race. The final time told the whole story. USA finished in 3 minutes and 16.61 seconds. That broke the championship record that had stood since 1993 by 1/10 of a second. It was also the 5th fastest time in the history of the women's 4x400 relay. But the real story was in the splits. All 4 American runners recorded the fastest times on their respective legs. Not just 1 or 2 of them, all 4. That means at every single stage of the race, USA was running faster than every other country's best runner for that same leg. Jamaica finished second in 3 minutes 19.25 seconds, which was actually a season-best time for them. Under normal circumstances, that would have been a time to celebrate, but they were still nearly 3 seconds behind USA. In relay terms, that's not just losing, that's being in a completely different race. The Jamaican team knew they had run well. Their runner Stacey Ann Williams said this after the race: "We completed an amazing race. It was not easy to come out on the final knowing that USA and the Netherlands have Sydney and Femke on their last legs. But we came up with silver because we trusted each other on every single leg." The Netherlands took bronze in 3 minutes 20.18 seconds, also a season-best time. They had Femke Bol running anchor, the same woman who had been battling McLaughlin-Levrone in the hurdles for years. Bol was known for her incredible finishing speed and ability to chase down seemingly impossible deficits. But there was nothing Bol could do against a 2-second deficit. Even with her 49.10 anchor split, which would have been impressive in any other race, she could only watch McLaughlin-Levrone disappear into the distance. Bol was gracious in defeat, saying, "We worked hard to be able to do this, and we have a great team around us to help us achieve our goals. I leave these World Championships with 3 medals, and I'm happy with that." She had won gold in the 400-meter hurdles, silver in the mixed relay, and now bronze in the women's relay. The weather conditions made USA's performance even more remarkable. Rain had been falling throughout the day, making the track slippery and conditions far from ideal. Most athletes struggle in wet conditions, but the American team seemed to thrive in them. McLaughlin-Levrone's performance was particularly stunning because of what she had already accomplished that week. She had broken the 48-second barrier in the individual 400 meters just days earlier, running the second fastest time in history. That kind of effort usually leaves athletes drained for days or even weeks. Instead, she came back and ran an even faster split in the relay. Her 47.82 anchor leg was actually faster than her individual 400-meter time when you account for the relay start versus a standing start from blocks. This wasn't just about individual talent, though. USA's team strategy was perfect from start to finish. The decision to use completely fresh runners in the final meant all 4 women were at their peak energy levels. The handoffs were clean and precise. Every runner executed their role exactly as planned. McLaughlin-Levrone understood this was a team effort. "When you have great teammates as I have, it's amazing," she said after the race. "Everyone just wanted to go out there, do their job. We weren't really going for a time. We just wanted to, obviously, do our parts and win the race, so it's always special to also add a championship record to the mix." The margin of victory raised questions about whether anyone can compete with McLaughlin-Levrone when she's in this kind of form. She had now proven she could dominate in the 400-meter hurdles, where she holds the world record. She had conquered the flat 400 meters, running the second fastest time in 4 decades. And now she had anchored her team to a championship record in the relay.
Just grateful. You know it's there and you put the work in. It's just when you see it kind of come to fruition, it's always just a bit of disbelief. I knew it was going to be a really fast race, great competition. So just to kind of see it all come together, there's always just a bit of awe and wonder.
The 400-meter final in Tokyo turned into a moment that stunned the world. Sydney, known for dominating the hurdles, stepped into unfamiliar territory and made it look effortless. From the gun, her stride was smooth, controlled, almost unreal. By halfway, the crowd sensed it. This wasn't just another race, it was history unfolding. For many years, Marita Koch's time of 47.60 seemed like a wall nobody could break. People called it untouchable, and it came from a time in track and field filled with questions and controversy. But on September 18th, 2025, Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone came closer than anyone before, less than 0.2 of a second away from ending one of the sport's most talked about records.
I think, Bobby believed that the time was there, and I believed in Bobby and our work. So it really just was a matter of putting the pieces together and running my race. I think it kind of just shows that anything really is possible. You just got to work for it and work really hard.
Her time of 47.78 not only earned her gold at the World Championships, but made her the second fastest woman in history over the distance. The East German shadow may still loom, but Sydney brought the light. But this wasn't just about one race. This was the culmination of years of grit, faith, and one bold career pivot. Because McLaughlin-Levrone wasn't supposed to be here, not in this race at least. She built her name as the queen of the 400-meter hurdles, dominating the event with a world record of 50.37 and 2 Olympic golds. But in 2025, she made a choice that left many doubting. She dropped the hurdles. It wasn't a move made lightly. The hurdles weren't just her event, they were her kingdom. She was the first woman to break the 52-second barrier and then the 51-second barrier, carving her name into history again and again. And yet, after reigning supreme, she asked herself a bold question. What if I could be the best at something else? As it turns out, she could, but not without resistance. When she announced the switch, skeptics questioned her decision. Why leave an event you dominate? Why risk it all? But Sydney had something bigger in mind, as she told reporters.
Prayer, a lot of trusting the process. I know there was a lot of doubt from a lot of people for me making this switch, and I just wanted to show myself I can do it. Ultimately, it was trusting the Lord and trusting the process, and honestly, I'm just really grateful.
The time came in Tokyo. The weather was far from ideal. Rain soaked the national stadium, the wind was erratic, and puddles clung to the track. But McLaughlin-Levrone ran with a serenity that defied the chaos. Her form never broke, her poise never wavered. Even when Olympic champion Marilady Paulino surged alongside her from lane 9, Sydney didn't panic. She found another gear. She pulled away. And she crossed the line as the first woman in nearly 4 decades to run under 48 seconds. This wasn't just victory, it was vindication and a warning, because the story doesn't end with a single gold medal. It begins there. McLaughlin-Levrone is now teasing something even more audacious. A double, competing in both the 400-meter flat and the 400-meter hurdles at the Olympics, a feat so grueling, so rare, that it's only been considered by legends. Her coach, the legendary Bobby Kersee, is pushing for it. Based in Los Angeles, the host of the 2028 Games, Kersee is already talking to organizers about tweaking the schedule to make room for McLaughlin-Levrone's historic bid. It's not unprecedented. Olympic organizers have made exceptions before for icons like Michael Johnson and Allison Felix. Now, Sydney might be next. But the question isn't just, can she do it? It's also, does she want to? Yeah, there's been a lot of talk of doubles, she said. Is it possible is one thing, do I want to do it is another. If she does, it would set the stage for one of the most electrifying Olympic storylines in history. McLaughlin-Levrone isn't just competing against the clock anymore, she's challenging the boundaries of what one athlete can achieve in 2 of the sport's most grueling events. Yet, whether she goes for the double or not, her legacy is already secured. She's 26 years old, already a 4-time Olympic gold medalist, a multi-time world champion, and the owner of records that once seemed unreachable. She's the first woman to break 52 seconds, 51 seconds, and now 48 seconds in events once thought to be past human limits. And it all began long before Tokyo. Sydney was born into a family of athletes. Her father, Willie McLaughlin, was a semi-finalist in the 400 meters at the 1984 Olympic trials. Her mother, Mary, ran track on a boys' team because her school didn't have a girls' team. Sydney followed in their footsteps and then sprinted far beyond them. By age 15, she was already world-class, winning gold at the 2015 World Youth Championships in the 400-meter hurdles. A year later, she qualified for the Rio Olympics as the youngest U.S. track athlete since 1980. She didn't make the finals, but the message was clear. The future had arrived. She went on to rewrite records at every level, high school, college, and professional. At the University of Kentucky, she obliterated the collegiate record in the 400-meter hurdles. By 2021, she had a world record and Olympic gold. And in 2022, she became the first woman to ever run under 51 seconds in the hurdles, clocking 50.68 at the World Championships in Eugene. But even with the medals and records, she wasn't done evolving. The 2023 season saw her experiment with flat sprints, clocking 48.74 in the 400 and winning races in the 200 meters against seasoned sprinters. She wasn't just dabbling, she was announcing her arrival. Then came 2024, At the Paris Olympics, she did it again, defending her 400-meter hurdles title with another world record, 50.37 seconds. But it was her flat sprint performances that hinted at something bigger. She ran 48.75 at the New York Grand Prix, then signed on for Michael Johnson's Grand Slam Track League. All signs pointed to the inevitable, a shift from the hurdles to the flat 400. And by the time the 2025 World Championships came around, she wasn't just ready, she was unstoppable. In the semis, she ran 48.29, breaking the U.S. record. Then in the final, she delivered 47.78, the fastest time in 4 decades, a new championship record, and maybe, just maybe, a preview of what's coming next. Because while Koch's 47.60 still sits atop the record books, it no longer feels untouchable. McLaughlin-Levrone has made it look mortal, and athletes like Polino and Salwa Eid Nasser, who finished 2nd and 3rd in Tokyo, agree. I think the women's 400-meter world record will be broken very soon, Nasser said. So what's next for Sydney? She's not saying yet, but her smile after the race said plenty. I think it shows that anything really is possible, she told reporters. But I don't have any more words for you guys right now. I'm still trying to process all of it. And really, who could blame her? When you're rewriting the limits of human performance, sometimes silence speaks louder than words. Whether she chases both events in LA or focuses on one, McLaughlin-Levrone has already changed the game. The 400-meter is no longer just a sprint, it's a stage, and she's the main act. What she's done isn't just win races, it's made fans believe that records, no matter how old or controversial, are there to be broken. That switching events isn't retreat, it's evolution. And that greatness isn't static, it grows. Even the younger athletes watching her, many of them in middle school or high school, are seeing something brand new. Sydney is showing that success doesn't have to look one way. You can succeed by taking risks. You can lead by being different. That's a message young athletes will carry with them. Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone didn't just run a fast time, she redefined the sport. And now every 400-meter runner in the world has a new standard. Her name is etched next to greatness, and she's just getting started.
Gout winding up and winding up. It's Lavelle to Bogo. Gout gets through to 4th. It's 1978.
17-year-old Gout was supposed to be the next big thing in sprinting, but his world championship debut just ended with some harsh criticism that's got everyone talking. On Thursday night in Tokyo, the atmosphere at Japan National Stadium was electric as the men's 200-meter semifinals got underway. Light rain was falling, making the track slippery, but that didn't stop the world's fastest men from putting on a show, and right in the middle of it all was Australia's teenage sensation, Gout, carrying the hopes of an entire nation on his young shoulders. The kid had already made history just by being there. At 17 years old, he became the youngest man ever selected for an Australian World Championships team. That's not just impressive, it's unprecedented. But making the team and competing with the big boys are two very different things, as Gout was about to discover. When the gun fired for the second semifinal, Gout found himself in a loaded heat. Brian Level from Jamaica was there, along with Olympic champion Letsila Tebogo from Botswana. These weren't just fast guys. These were the absolute best in the world. Men who had been doing this at the highest level for years. Coming around the bend, Gout was sitting in 7th place. Not exactly where you want to be in a semifinal, but then something beautiful happened. The same finishing speed that first caught the world's attention kicked in. He powered down the home straight, his long strides eating up the track as he moved past runner after runner. When the dust settled, Gout had finished 4th with a time of 20.36 seconds. In any other context, that would be cause for celebration. But in a World Championship semifinal, it meant one thing. He was going home. To make the final, he needed to run 19.97 seconds or faster. His time left him as the 18th fastest overall and 12th among the non-automatic qualifiers. The math was simple and unforgiving. Only 8 men advanced to the final, and Gout wasn't one of them. But here's where things get interesting, and not in a good way for the young Australian. While Gout was dealing with the disappointment of missing the final, the internet was having a field day. An American sprinter posted a TikTok video that cut straight to the bone, saying, "The next Usain Bolt got brutally destroyed at the World Championships." That's the kind of comment that can stick with a young athlete. especially one who's been carrying the weight of those Usain Bolt comparisons for months now. The hype machine had been in overdrive, calling Gout the next great sprinter, the heir to Bolt's throne. But championships have a way of separating reality from hype. The numbers tell the story. Gout's personal best is 20.02 seconds, which he ran earlier this year in the Czech Republic to set a new Australian record.